episode 0 of the Bloody Nose podcast. And the reason it's going to be episode 0 and not number 1 because it's more of a test run. Just trying to see how things go with it. I'm still going to keep doing it. It's me. I'm trying to get, I guess, everything sorted out. As far as the audio, I want to make sure everything is, up to par, what I would expect. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but we're just going to get started. We're going to talk about some MMA, some events coming up this week. I don't really have a list of any specific things I want to talk about this time around. Like I said, it's going to be maybe a short one, just introduction, letting you know what this podcast is going to be about, what we're going to be talking about. I want to cover a lot of combat sports. I do follow kickboxing, glory, um, different things like that. Muay Thai. I like watching Muay Thai from around the world. We'll definitely cover some low key events like that. Obviously, MMA and then boxing. Um, I'll probably eventually end up touching upon the state of boxing where I feel it's in, and we'll just go from there. So, first, let's talk about this past weekend of fights, which was Hermansson versus Vetorri. Now, let's talk about Jack Hermansson. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's start at the bottom of the card. Let's start with Jake Collier and John Vellante. John Vellante, now 17-3. How Jesus? He's like two. I think like 3-5 in his last 8. He's a mess right now. I have no idea why the UFC is keeping him around. I'm assuming it has something to do with him being Chris Weidman's boy, him being a part of Sarah Longo. I know Dana loves Matt Serra, and that's honestly probably the only reason I could see them keeping him around. Otherwise, there's really no reason. It wasn't a terrible fight. It really wasn't. Not as bad as I expected, because John Vellante should not be at heavyweight. He just looks slow and just kind of fat, to be honest. And then you have Jay Collier, who used to fight at middleweight, now fighting at heavyweight, which is insane to me. But Jay Collier has some decent hands. Like I said, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I'm not a big fan of the state of the heavyweight division right now in the UFC. A lot of them are older, but that's really all I'll say about that fight. We'll go up Ilya Topuria and Damon Jackson. Now, Damon Jackson had a fight previously against Mirsad Bektic on which fight night was this? Covington versus Woodley. I remember watching this one. Bektic is really known for just losing fights that he should win. I don't know if it has something to do with his game plan or his gas tank. It might be a mix of both, but I believe that was short notice for Damon Jackson. Um, and he ended up pulling out the guillotine choke in round 3, which is great for him. So he was definitely someone I was looking at. He looked like a dog in that fight. I remember him taking some damage from Bektic. Bektic is a really solid fighter. So getting a guillotine on him is really no small feat. But Ilya Topuria, 10-0 from Georgia, not the state, the country. Holy moly, Georgia is, I feel like, becoming the new Dagestan, the way they have all these different prospects coming in. You have him, you have the guy who also fought on the last card, Roman Dolidze. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And then Giga Jakadze. Holy moly, Georgia is pumping out these guys. I don't know what factory they make these guys and the Dagestani guys in, but they're looking like some real threats in all these divisions. Ilya Topuria, what hands from that man. I believe his last fight was against Yusuf Zalal, who was a highly touted prospect. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Yusuf Zalal. Um, I felt like he really played it safe in a lot of fights, and I'm not even saying playing it safe. I think he was just he doesn't have a lot of power behind those hands. He's a solid fighter, don't get me wrong. He's got decent grappling and he's got really good hands, but he's just doesn't have that power to put it all together, I guess. Um, but Ilya Taporia, man, that was just a beautiful sequence of punches to finish off Damon Jackson. I believe it was the lead right hand, and then sorry, my dog is like back here, and she's like, I don't even know what she's doing. Anyways, it was the lead right hand, I believe, um, and then that body shot, and then another right straight to the dome that just put Damon Jackson down. Holy moly! Wow, Ilya Taporia is definitely going to be a threat in the featherweight division. I don't know who I'd like to see him fight next. There's a couple names out there. I'd like to see him fight like maybe someone along the lines like mid 30s, mid 20s in the UFC, like someone like Makwan Amerikani. I think that'd be a really fun fight. But I'm very excited to see where he goes from there. After that, we got the bantamweight division: Jose Alberto Quinones versus Louis Smolka. Now, Louis Smolka, this is his third stint in the UFC. His first fight in the UFC was back at UFC Fight Night 95, Rockhold versus Philippou, back in 2014. He I want to say he was a bit inconsistent. He let's see, from his first in he won 4, then he dropped 4, got cut, ended up winning all those fights, a couple fights in other promotions. Let's see, Gladiator, Destiny. He ended up coming back with an armbar against Sue Mujadari, Mudajiri, I believe is actually how it's pronounced. Lost to Matt Schnell, and now and then won against Ryan McDonald. Lost to Casey Kenny, who's actually fighting Dominic Cruz next, which is something I definitely want to talk about after this. And now he just fought Jose Alberto Quinones, which is he looked good. He looked good. Something that I never saw from Smoka. He really adopted a Muay Thai heavy fighting style this fight. He was heavy on that lead leg, or light. I'm sorry, light and bouncing on that lead leg, and his body kicks, holy moly, just textbook Muay Thai roundhouse to the body. Looked good. Like I said, he's always kind of been a win one, lose one type of fighter, but I know he's had issues with alcoholism and everything, and I hope he gets that all figured out because he really looks like he's starting to put it all together. I would like to see him maybe move back down to 125. He's a very skinny guy. He's definitely a dog in there. Beautiful grappling and great cardio from him always, and he's always a fun fight to watch. But he just doesn't have that power to compete with 135s, and I think especially once he gets up in that division. Um, I don't think he's going to be able to hang in there with those guys. Anyways, after that, holy shit. Jordan Levitt, Matt Wyman. Matt Wyman, please, for the love of God, retire, buddy. Holy moly. He's 37 years old. Dropped his last 3. Luis Pena, Joe Selecki. I don't even know what to say about Matt Wyman, but Jordan Levitt, man, take a bow. Holy shit. I saw him on Dana White's Contender Series. Like I said, I saw him on Dana's White's Contender Series with an arm triangle choke. And as of right now, I have not seen enough of him. I know he fought in LFA before that, so it looks like he's a high level grappler. I hope he's not going to be someone along the lines of Chase Hooper, who's very one dimensional, it seems. But what a slam KO! He meant to do that slam. That wasn't a fluke. He picked the man up. You can hear his coach say, "All right, bring him to the corner." Jordan Levitt responds. He says, "All right." He brings him. He's still carrying him. He readjusts. He puts the cross arm to his face to kind of just bring him down with all that power and slammed him on the back of his head. Holy moly! I was scared for Matt Wyman after that happened. That just oh wow. Wow, Jordan Levitt. I'm very excited to see what he's gonna do in that lightweight division. He's definitely a force to be reckoned with right now. Going up in the card, another Georgian, Roman Dolidze. I don't know. Um, Light heavyweight division. He fought John Allen, who I never really heard anything about, but 13-6. Let's see when he fought last. He had a no contest against Mike Rodriguez. I believe that was. I remember hearing about that. I forgot. I think it was a failed drug test by Rodriguez. I don't think it was anything along the line of steroid use. I think it might honestly been marijuana, which is so stupid. You see so many of these no contests, especially with Jamal Hill, um, getting these no contests because of weed. Are we serious? Come on, you're messing with these guys' money and everything. They're not even on steroids. You have so many other fighters who deserve these suspensions. You're giving these guys 6 month suspensions because of weed. It's absurd. Mm. But anyways, Roman, holy moly. I think at the end of the first round, he told the coach, he's like, "Do you want me to submit him now?" And then he dropped down to a heel hook that was locked in tight right at the end of the first round. It was really locked in tight. Look close, and that's just. I love seeing that's what I really love about these fights right now. We don't have fans. This is one of the sports where I okay with not having fans there because sometimes you'll hear fans booing during these great grappling exchanges because they want to see them stand and bang whatever it is, but you also get to hear the fighters talk, and it's really fun to listen to. Anyways, Roman looks solid. He definitely looks solid. I think it was a split decision, and I think it was a pretty easy 29-28 win for him, in my opinion. I don't think that should have been a split decision. But anyways, going up in the card, Gabriel Benitez, Justin James. This fight had barn burner written all over it. These are both action fighters. Beautiful knee to the body by Gabriel Benitez. I just love seeing these body TKOs. Holy moly, it just look like they just make me want to piss blood just looking at them. Those are so painful, but you it's really important to go to the body in MMA. I love seeing these guys go to the body, not head hunting, and just a beautiful knee to the body. Just shut his liver, shut his entire nervous system down. Co-main event, Jamal Hill, who I was just talking about, who had a no contest in his last fight against Klidson Abreu, which he finished that fight. It was a no contest because of weed. Again, stupid. We're not talking about that. He had a great showcase against Ovin St. Preux, and I believe John Jones actually shouted him out at the end of it. Just a beautiful showcase against a really solid gatekeeper in that light heavyweight division against Ovin St. Preux, who's never an easy fight. You know what I mean? Sometimes he crumbles under the pressure against these higher level guys, but never an easy fight. Just such an unorthodox fighter. And Jamal Hill, beautiful striking, nice. I think there might have been something wrong because this Ovin St. Preux missed weight for this fight, and pretty badly. That's not like Ovin St. Preux. He's usually a very professional guy, and I can't remember the last time he missed weight for a fight, if he ever did. But this is one of those fights where he missed weight. I'm guessing that definitely it might have been a terrible weight cut for him with everything going on. I know he had two fights before this drop out, so it might just been the circumstances coming into play. Um, but he didn't look all that great. I expected him to want to take it down to the ground where he definitely has an advantage, but I don't remember him trying. I think he maybe had one takedown attempt. I think he did actually in the. I know it ended in the second round. I want to say early second round. He tried. Jamal Hill stuffed it. Anyways, beautiful striking by Jamal Hill. Not taking anything away from his win. Just Ovin St. Preux didn't look all there, but what can you do? You just capitalize on that opportunity. Let's talk about the main event. Hermansson, Vetorri. Hermansson is a gamer, man. Hermansson is a gamer. He was originally supposed to fight Chris Weidman back in May. That got canceled. He was supposed to fight Kevin Holland. Or no, Darren Till after that. That was the original main event. I believe Darren Till, I don't remember why he pulled out. Um, I believe maybe a knee injury or a shoulder injury, something along those lines. Nothing COVID related. I do remember that. And then Kevin Holland replaces him. I saw on Jack Hermansson YouTube channel when Kevin Holland was the replacement, he ended up testing positive for COVID. And on Jack Hermansson's YouTube channel, they showed him taking the call from his agent, pretty much saying that Kevin Holland, dropped out of the fight. Jack Hermansson looked upset, and then they offered him Marvin Vettori. He's like, "Yeah, let's do it." Like he took no time to think about it. Jack Hermansson is a gamer. Holy moly, this man is no tough out. He is just a savage through and through. He's definitely one of those guys who will take anyone anywhere. Just to go from three dropped opponents to go primarily from a striker in Darren Till, southpaw striker, to Kevin Holland, who I'm still very excited to see. I'm glad Kevin Holland got rebooked against Jacare for this upcoming event this weekend, which I will also be talking about. To go to Marvin Vettori, who's definitely a just a solid fighter, just a wrestler, boxer, but his game, the type of opponent he was training for changed three times. You know what I mean? To take that fight against someone like Marvin Vettori, who was ranked, I believe, what was it, 14 or 13, something like that, before he took this fight, it was very high risk, low reward type of fight for Jack Hermansson. And like I said, he's just a gamer. I'm telling you what I did not expect. A 5-round unanimous decision for Marvin Vettori. I love Marvin. I really do. I feel like he's starting to come into his own ever since that Idril Adesanya fight, which is really starting to age well for him. Um, he really just came into his own. But you have to realize he went from fighting Ronaldo Souza, Jacare Souza, in a 3 round fight to someone like Jack Hermansson, who is just a really cardio heavy fighter. He will give up the first 2 rounds, hoping that he'll really catch up in the last three. And Marvin Vettori did not give him that opportunity. He uses power, beautiful boxing, just a really solid fight. Definitely one of the better. I believe they broke the record for the highest output in a middleweight fight, which is insane to me because these guys were just banging. So it's really a testament to Marvin Vittori's cardio. He looks solid in there. I did not expect him. I expected if Marvin Vittori was going to win, maybe like a knockout or something, not a submission, because we know Jack Hermansson is a really good grappler, but maybe a knockout in the first 3 rounds. But for him to really just hang in there for the full 5 rounds and win a unanimous decision against someone like Jack Hermansson is no small feat, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to do next in the division. I love that Paulo Costa call out that he had. I think he kind of retracted it and is calling out Israel Adesanya. Um, I love that Paulo Costa fight. I love that. I think that's such a good fight for both of those guys, and seeing where they're at in the division. Let Israel Adesanya move up to light heavyweight. Let them sort that out, and let these two guys, Paulo Costa and Marvin Vettori, just bang, man. That'd be a solid fight. Holy moly! But solid card this week. I believe it was supposed to be 13 fights, and then 3 of them got canceled literally an hour before the show started because of I think one of them was injury related, and 2 of them were COVID-19 related. Um, so it really put a damper on the card, but still a solid card. You got to be careful with these cards where you not a lot of name value. There's a lot of low key barn burners on these cards, and they ended up being the most solid ones so far in this just shit year. Let's talk about UFC 256 coming up this weekend. Really, really solid card. Chase Hooper versus Peter Barrett is the first one opening up. Chase Hooper, man, I hope he can put it all together. Losing a unanimous decision to Alex Caceres, who again is a solid guy, but 15 and 12, 17 and 12 now actually. Always been kind of a middling fighter. You know what I mean? He looks like he's starting to put it all together though. Um, but I don't know. Chase Hooper, bantamweight, he's a skinny kid. He's only 21 though. Only 21. I hope he really fills out in his frame. You know what I mean? He's a very skinny, lanky type of guy. His striking looked terrible. I feel like his only game plan is to get it to the ground, and he doesn't really even have solid wrestling. I know he's been training with Ben Askren, which I do like, to be able to use more wrestling because he's a wizard when it comes to the grappling, in jiu-jitsu and everything like that, but he can't get it onto the ground because his wrestling isn't that great. And that's the problem with all these high-level jiu-jitsu guys is that they don't have the wrestling to back it up. Once they're on the ground, they can really just, kind of seal the deal, but they have to get it to the ground with wrestling. And, you know, I'm excited to see him. I'm really excited to see how his training with Ben Askren, pays off. Seeing, I don't think he's going to make any leaps and bounds in his striking training with Ben Askren, but as far as his wrestling and stuff goes, Peter Baird is a really just a dog in there. He fought Yusuf Zalal last, and it was a unanimous decision, but he just looked like a dog in there. He was just really putting it on him. So that's an exciting fight that I'm looking forward to. I know Peter Barrett fought in the Contender Series, I believe, before this. So that's a fun fight to watch. Sergey Spivak and Justin Jared Vanderhaar. I believe Jared fought on the Contender Series, yes, a month ago actually. This is a funny guy. Oh man, watching his post-fight interview and everything, he's just, I don't know, he gives me a heavy Forrest Gump vibe about him. Sorry about all that noise in the background, by the way. My dog is just, I had to get her out of the room because she's just, I don't know. Anyways, he gave me a heavy Forrest Gump vibe. Just, I don't know, he's a very simple type of man. He was funny, though. He was funny, but I don't know, heavyweights don't really get me excited. I don't know. He's 28 though, so he's on the younger side of heavyweight. That's sad to say that 28 is on the younger side of heavyweights. But Sergey Spivak, who I'm excited to see, solid grappler. Solid grappler. So, be an interesting fight. Nothing really more to say. Tisha Torres and Sam Hughes. This was originally supposed to be Tisha Torres and Angela Hill. Angela Hill tested positive for COVID, so the fight is off. Wishing her a speedy recovery because I love Angela Hill, man. Just any time, anywhere type of fighter. And this is like, I think this is going to be like her fifth fight this year, which is insane for Angela Hill. Anyway, Tisha Torres, I know nothing about Sam Hughes, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. Let me just look at her record: 5-1. She fought in LFA, solid promotion. Um, Her last loss was to Vanessa Demopoulos, who I believe just had a banger of a fight versus Lupita Guidones in LFA 94. Holy moly, that was one of my favorite, probably second women's MMA fight of the year, right next to Young Jacek versus Wei Li Zhang. That was a that was a low key banger fight. If you have UFC Fight Pass, go watch that on LFA. That was a solid fight. Anyways, Tisha Torres, Sam Hughes. I don't really know what to say about this one. Um, Tisha Torres really looks like she needs a win right now. I know she had a unanimous win against Brianna Van Buren, but before that she dropped four straight. Um, don't really know what to say about that fight. Billy Quarantillo versus Gavin Tucker. This looks like it's going to be one of my favorite fights on the card. One of those low key bangers through and through. Gavin Tucker coming from, I believe, it's Newfoundland in Canada. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Um, he lost that just, it was a hard to watch decision versus Rick Glenn. I think that was like 10-7 across the board. I want to see that. What was the scorecard on this fight? It was just, I remember just watching. I was like, yo, you need to stop this. This is getting really bad to watch. Like, it was like almost uncomfortable to watch at some point. Are they showing me? I don't think I can see exactly what the scorecards were, but I just remember it being, there was a 10-7 in there somewhere, which is very rare to see. But Gavin Tucker brought it back. Two solid wins. Justin James, Seung Woo Cho. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Korean fighter. Um, I'm excited to see what Gavin Tucker can do, especially against Billy Quarantillo, who had a banger of a fight against Spike Carlisle not too long ago in his last fight against Kyle Nelson. I believe he ended it in the third round. That was on Watterson versus Hill a couple months ago, back in September. Like I said, low key banger. Not even low key, high key banger. Watch this one. You're gonna want to watch this one. Gavin Tucker, Billy Quarantillo, just a banger that has barn burner written all over it. Mackenzie Dern, Virna Jandaroba. I did not expect Kenzie Dern to come back to strawweight after giving birth, but she looks great. She really does. Hannah Cyphers, Ronda Marcos. Um, it looks like Hannah Cyphers is getting cut soon, but that's neither here nor there. Ronda Marcos in her last two fights. Mackenzie Dern looks good. Now, doesn't look like she's having trouble with the weight against Virna Jandaroba. I believe her last, yeah, Miocic versus Cormier 3. Armbar against Felice Herrig, who is okay, but no, definitely not an easy fight by any means. This is going to be another solid fight, high level. It's going to tell us a lot where Mackenzie Dern is in this division. It's really going to tell us a lot because Virna Jandaroba is also a wizard on the ground. Um, that's going to be a fun fight. Cub Swanson, baby boy, he's back. He's back. I believe the last time we saw him was back in 2019 against Kron Gracie. I love that fight so much. That was such a good fight. Holy moly, he really put it on Kron Gracie and showed him there's kind of levels to this. Another one of those examples where you can be a wizard on the ground, but you're gonna need an outlet. You're gonna have something to get it on the ground with wrestling, whatever it is. There's definitely one of those. There's level to this type of fight feel to that one. That was back on UFC on ESPN. Plus 19, Joanna versus Watterson, all the way back in 2019. Now he took a year off because he grappled with Jake Shields in Quintet Ultra back in 2019, where he suffered an injury. That's why I don't like seeing these fighters do these unnecessary grappling bouts outside of competition, because you have injuries like this. I know Aljamain Sterling is getting ready to do one against Roman Bravo Young, which I might also touch upon. I don't think that's smart, because what if he gets injured and then he loses that fight with Piotr Jan? You know what I mean? But that's besides the point. Daniel Pineda, Cub Swanson. I believe they are closing out the prelims with this. Are they? Yep, they're closing out the prelims with this. Beautiful prelim headliner. Banger of a fight, ran all over it. Just two action fighters. I really, Cub Swanson is, I don't think he's going to get anywhere near that belt anytime soon, but he's just always a fun watch. You know what I mean? He's 37 now, but, he showed with Con Gracie, he hasn't lost that luster. about him. He's always a fun fight, and I love Cub Swanson. So that's definitely a banger for the prelim headliner. Now we're going to the main card. I know there was a couple drops on. I know Davison Figueiredo came to save this, pay per view. Um, it's a solid card though. I don't hate it. I really don't. I think they could, put this, uh, maybe on an ESPN Plus card, but I think it's worth the money because this main card is solid. Ciro Gane, Junior Dos Santos. Oh my God, Ciro Gane. This is really going to show us where he is because he is looking like a threat in this division. He's a light heavyweight who just looks solid. He used to train with Francis Ngannou before Francis Ngannou left that camp, but man, grappling and striking and just huge dude. Holy moly, he's definitely one of my top prospects to look at. Here, I don't know why I said light heavyweight. This is the heavyweight division, but Ciro Gane, you know, 30. Again, that's on the younger side of heavyweight, which is sad to say, but I'm very excited for this guy because Junior Dos Santos, I believe he dropped his last three actually to Francis Ngannou, Curtis Blades, and Jairzinho. So he really needs this win here, and I don't think it's going to be a tough fight for him whatsoever. Cyril Gane is a solid fighter, but that's going to be a banger. Kevin Holland versus Ronaldo Souza, Jacare. Um, Jacare was supposed to be fighting Marvin Vettori, um, and then they asked him to step up. Uh, and then Kevin Holland got moved to this card because he tested positive because he was supposed to be fighting Jack Hermansson. It's a whole mess. I like this fight a lot. I'm glad they still gave sorry, I had to take a call there real quick. But as I was saying, I'm glad they still gave Kevin Holland a big fight. You know what I mean? He lost that with the Hermansson fight, but I really like Kevin Holland. I really do. He's such an exciting fighter. Um, he's fought 5 times this year. Just wait, one, two, three, four, five. Yeah, this will be his fifth fight. Oh, excuse me. This year against Ronaldo Jacare Souza. Um, who's just looking like he's on the decline a bit. He's really getting up there. He's 41 years old. What more can you ask for this guy? But he always, leaves it all out there. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight by any means for Kevin Holland, but I think, again, this will really show us where Kevin Holland is in the division, and I think he's a serious threat in the division. I got Kevin Holland for that one. I'm going to be quite honest. I'll start doing a couple picks for these ones. I don't bet. I would never recommend betting on MMA, boxing, any sort of combat sport just because of how unpredictable it is. But if you want to hear my picks, I'll give them to you. After that, Hanato Moicano versus Rafael Fiziev. Rafael Fiziev. I believe Rafael is the head Muay Thai coach at Tiger Muay Thai, which is a big deal because Tiger Muay Thai, there are some killers there, some real killers there. And I think Rafael Fiziev's like kind of coming out party was that last fight night at Figueiredo versus Benavidez 2 against Mark DeCasey, where holy moly, his body work, his Muay Thai, his striking, just everything about him that night looked sensational. And Mark DeCasey was no easy fight, no tough, no easy out for any fighter. Just looks sensational. I'm super excited for this. I believe this is at lightweight. Yeah, I don't know why Moicano moved up. You know what I mean? I know he lost two to Chan Sung Jung and Jose Aldo, but those are two super high level fighters. Nothing to be ashamed of. But he fought Demir Hadzovic at lightweight. That was on the Lee Oliveira card. He submitted him, and now he's fighting Rafael Fiziev. Exciting fight, banger of a fight right there. Super exciting. That's a close one. I don't know what the odds on this one are. If I had to assume, it'd be something close to pick 'em. It could go either way. I got Rafael Fiziev. You know what I mean? But Moicano's got some legit striking too. But unless he can get this on the ground, I think it's going to be the Fiziev show. So we'll see. Co-main event: Tony Ferguson, Charles Oliveira. Holy shit! I really wish they would have moved this fight to one of the ESPN cards that have had a lot of dropped fights recently because I want to see this be 5 rounds. We have to make a petition to where every top 15 lightweight fight, if there's 2 guys in the top 15, it has to be 5 rounds. I don't care if it's on a pay-per-view card, it has to be 5 rounds because this top 15 is just insane. Holy moly. Charles Oliveira versus Tony Ferguson. Charles Oliveira is riding a 7 fight win streak right now against Tony Ferguson, who just came off that loss that just hurt my heart against Justin Gaethje. That really hurt my heart, and that's where Khabib and Tony died in an empty arena after 6 cancellations. That fight died. That was my dream MMA fight. I'm gonna cry right now. That just gets me so upset. But Charles Oliveira and Tony Ferguson is a fun fight too. I like this. This is really good. Charles Oliveira finally gets that step up in competition after 7 straight wins. Maybe too big of a step up. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Tony Ferguson's getting up there in age. One of my favorite fighters, but he's getting up there in age. 36 now. Took a lot of damage in that Gaethje fight. I really hope he does well in this fight. I'm pulling for Tony. I don't know. Again, looks like one of those fights where it could be pick 'em. I'm not even gonna pick one on this fight because both of these guys could be any lightweight on any given day. You know what I mean? Lightweight is such an exciting division now. Without Khabib having that stranglehold on division, I love Khabib 100%. I think he beats everyone in that division. We want to see that Tony and Khabib fight, but like shit happens, man, and it's upsetting. And Tony and Khabib is never gonna happen. Khabib is retired, but it makes this lightweight division so much more exciting. There's finally, this top 10, even top 15 of lightweight. Man, these guys are killers. Any of these guys can lose to any of the other ones on any given day. It's really just such a good division. I'm gonna be honest with you. I used to be a Connor fanboy. No shame in that. I think he's made some stupid decisions. You know what I mean? But you know, I don't know, man. People, I feel like, think he's just a money fighter, and especially after that Khabib fight, they think maybe he's a one-trick pony. I think Connor runs this division. I really do. It's definitely with Khabib gone, it's a striker-heavy division, and that favors Connor so much because I think he has the best MMA striking right now. You got guys like him and Israel Adesanya and everything, but in the striking, Connor just wins it all day. I don't see anyone who beats him unless someone can outlast him because a lot of these guys are just a bit hittable. But it's a striker heavy division. Like I said, it's just gonna. I love this division so much. I think there's so many good things that are gonna come out of it. And this is a banger of a fight. Tony Ferguson, Charles Oliveira. I love that co-main event. I wish it was 5 rounds. Alas, it's not. What can you do? Right here, the UFC Flyweight Championship, Davison Figueiredo is breaking a record. I believe it's 21 days between two title defenses. Um, it's flyweight. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking shit about this division at all. I think that the reason I can say it in that way is because the UFC does not do a good job in promoting this division whatsoever. And that's not to any fault of these fighters because all of these fighters are so exciting. Flyweights, they just move differently. The cardio, the striking, they're just so fun to watch. And I love flyweights, but they don't get the love they deserve because the promotion just hates them. You know what I mean? But Davison Figueiredo, I think he's going to breathe a lot of new life into this flyweight division because a lot of these guys are so exciting to watch. Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, Moreno's. I've been watching him since I believe he fought on that Ultimate Fighter season. What two coaches were those? Cejudo versus Benavidez, and then the winner of that season ended up fighting Demetrius Johnson for the belt, and I believe that was Tim Elliott. Anyways, he was on this season. He lost the very first fight to the number one seed Alexandre Pantoja, who is still in the UFC and still just putting on great fights. You know what I mean? Um, and then he came and won 3. He dropped 2, ended up getting cut from the UFC, and then he just went on a run in the regional circuit. I'm talking about Brandon Moreno, and now he's back, looking in form. Kai Kara France, Jussier Formiga, Brandon Royval. Those are great wins, and this is the fight that I thought he originally deserved. You know what I mean? I didn't really think he had to fight that Royval fight. You know what I mean? I think he could have just waited for Perez and Figueiredo to play out. and then he could have fought Figueiredo. I thought he was next in line for a title shot, but it doesn't matter. I'm glad he's getting it now. I'm glad he didn't take a lot of damage in that Royval fight because this was about a month ago. You know what I mean? They both fought about a month ago, so on the same card. You know what I mean? So both of these guys on the same card. They're fighting a month later in the main event. We're really getting into new territory with these COVID main events and stuff that they're putting on. It's exciting. It's really exciting to watch, and it's going to be a good fight. You know what I mean? As far as a pick for this one, my heart says Brandon Moreno because I love him. He's a banger. He comes in to fight. He's a dog in there. My mind says Davis and Figueiredo. I think his power and everything is just going to be too much for him. I want to say maybe third round, fourth round finish, or unanimous decision for Figueiredo, somewhere in that territory. I don't think this ends early. I don't think any of these guys are someone who's going to get finished early at all. I think Brandon Moreno can take a lot of punishment and he can dole it right back. So some really, really exciting fights, coming up this week. Let's talk about boxing. Logan Paul versus Mayweather. Man, I've said this once, I'll say this again. Boxing is a dying sport. And I can't be mad at Logan Paul and Jake Paul for wanting to try and, breathe some life back into it. You know what I mean? I can't be mad at that. You want to say it's a shit show and it's a circus, whatever it is, these guys should not be fighting professionals, and I'll agree with you. Trust me, I agree with that. But unfortunately, it's what boxing needs right now because it's a dying sport. You don't have so many people who are big caring about these big fights. And the problem with boxing is, and this is a big subject that I'm really passionate on, I think I'll go into different episodes really further diving into this, is you don't see the best fight the best. You know what I mean? There's a million different belts. So you see this guy, doing, oh, he has a mandatory belt defense against this random Joe Schmo with whatever record. So you never see the best fighting the best. That's why guys like when you saw the Mayweather and Pacquiao fight, that's why that fight took almost 10 years to make, because these guys can just sit out and fight whoever they're mandatory supposed to fight. That's why I like the UFC, because there's a ranking system. UFC is a promotion at the end of the day. It's not kind of this big umbrella blanket term, because when you think about boxing, that you have top rank, you have all these different things that go on in boxing, but it's not really a promotion in the same way that the UFC is. So in the UFC, you'll see some you know weird fights happen every now and then, but for the most part, the best fight the best, which is what I do like. Um, and I think that's really what's attributing to boxing being a dying sport. I think Mike Tyson even said it in his last fight versus Roy Jones. He thanked Jake Paul for being able to sell him, get him on a good pay per view. If that's what it takes, Mike Tyson said it himself. UFC is kicking our ass. MMA, everything like that, because there's just I don't really know. I think a lot of it has to do with the best aren't fighting the best, and you're not seeing a lot of crazy promotion. The biggest fights that happened, within the last couple years in boxing were really just Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Other than that, there was no fights really get up out of your seat for. There's Lomachenko versus Lopez, which that was a good fight. I liked watching that. You don't. I don't know, man. Boxing is just kind of all over the place right now. Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather. There is a 50-pound difference between those two guys. Holy shit. I know it's an exhibition. So it's not going to count towards any official record. I wonder how they're going to go about that, if they're going to, have some type of rule set. Floyd Mayweather, he can end that fight. Again, it's an exhibition, so I don't know if they're really going to go for a knockout or anything, but, hypothetically, he could end that fight whenever he wants to. He could not train a single day, and I know he stays in good shape. You know what I mean? I know he always stays in good shape because he does a lot of these exhibition bouts. A lot of people don't know this. He does a lot of exhibition bouts overseas for like, rich, Dubai princes on boats and stuff against, just these random people to put on a spectacle, and he makes millions off of them. And these are all exhibition bouts, so they don't go on his record. And a lot of people don't know that he does that. So he stays active, and he's just always in good shape. He can end this fight whenever he wants. I don't really know what else there is to say about this fight. Um, I guess it'd be interesting to see where Jake Paul, goes from here. Jake Paul is a much better boxer than people give him credit for. Boxing is one of those sports where you would have to train from being a baby. You know what I mean? Because it's just, your focus. It's not like MMA where, you could start at 18 and you could become a world champion. You know what I mean? It's boxing is one of those sports you have to be training. You have to your first steps and the first time you put on gloves have to be around the same time in order to be good at boxing because it's you're honing in on that one specific craft. For someone who's never boxed before, Jake Paul is not bad, and that is a hill I will die on. And I don't like Jake Paul, trust me. I do not like him by any means. Him and Logan Paul just annoy the hell out of me, but he is a much better boxer than people give him credit for. Um, and he's taking it seriously. You know what I mean? Nate Robinson didn't take that fight seriously, and that was a problem. He thought he was gonna use his athleticism. I'm an NBA, whatever athlete. Bro, you got to care about it at least. You got to train. It didn't look like he trained. He just bull rushed Jake Paul the entire time. No game plan. Did he have his hands up? I don't. Did he throw a single punch at all? I don't know. But again, Jake Paul is not bad. He really isn't. Does he lose against any journeyman 500 record boxer? Yes, 100%. 100%. But he's not bad and he needs to get credit. And I think he fucks up Dylan Dennis. I really do. And I don't know if that says more about how Jake Paul is really severely underrated or if that just says a lot about how Dylan Dennis is striking his fucking dog shit. I don't know. In an MMA fight, Dylan Dennis all day. But in a boxing fight, I think Jake Paul tools him, and I would love to see that. I would love to see that because I hate I hate both of them, and I think that would just I don't hate either of them. They're both doing what they have to do. You know what I mean? But I, I get Jake. I'd have Jake Paul in that fight. I'd love to see that fight. I think that would sell so many pay-per-views, and that'd be something so fun to watch. Boxing is just a circus right now. You might as well watch that fight. I think it's literally called Fight Circus. That promotion where they were having 3-on-1. One big guy fighting three smaller guys, and spinning shit only matches where the only spinning strikes allowed. Fight Circus. I love watching that, and it's sponsored by a porn website. Cam Soda, a cam girl website. That is what it's sponsored by, and they're putting on just these shit show circus type of fights, and they're fun to watch, and that's what boxing might as well be right now. I don't know what's next for Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. Mike Tyson looked a lot. He surprised me. He really did. I expected him to come juiced to the gills, but he really didn't. He looked like a 50-year-old retired boxer, but he looked good. People are saying it's a boring fight, blah, 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 say what you want. It, uh, for two guys that age, it could have been a lot worse. They could have been gas out after the first 2 rounds, but they weren't. And I think Mike Tyson wasn't knocking him out on purpose. I think those two guys definitely respect each other because Mike Tyson was throwing heat to the body, throwing absolute heat. Any one of those punches, I don't care who you are, that will destroy your kidney, your liver, whatever it is. You'll be pissing blood for months. He was throwing heat to the body, and I don't think he wanted to knock out Roy Jones. I think he could have if he wanted to. I just don't think he wanted to because they respect each other, and I don't mind seeing these fights against if as long as it's two old legends against each other. And if they want to go in there and show that they still love the sport, why not? I'd love to see Mike Tyson go at it again. I think Holyfield's name was getting thrown in there. That'd be fun. I don't really know who else I would really like for him right now. I think he just wanted to do it to prove to himself. He's really come a long way as a person, and I love Mike Tyson through and through. And he's just what a guy. And, I feel like that really just made him feel good to go out there and do that. Against Roy Jones Jr. and just he looked good. He really did. Do I want to see him in an actual fight against a prospect? Absolutely not. um, but if he's doing these harmless, legend fights, just put on a show, I like that. I like that for him. That's really all I got to say about combat sports in this week. Again, this was more of a test run episode. It's already closing up on 45 minutes. I don't even feel like I was talking for that long. But just want to talk about UFC. I think there's a one event going on this weekend. What is that on? Let me see. Who's fighting on that card? I know I believe it's headlined with is it a Muay Thai fight? if I can see here, one championship right here. Let's see. John Haggerty and Taika Naito, who I don't know much about. I'm not gonna pretend like I do. Um, John Haggerty is always a fun fight. Um, this is a Muay Thai bout. Nothing too exciting right now going on with any other fights. But anyways, yeah, definitely look forward to that UFC 256 card this weekend. Definitely look forward to it. Again, a lot of people are saying it's not, pay-per-view quality. Why would I pay for this? I don't know if you stream it or not, but either way, watch it. It's a good card. It's really a much better card than people are giving it credit for. Um, and again, this was kind of a test run episode 0. I'll have more of a, I guess, structure to these episodes as I go along and get these things figured out. But, thank you for listening if you did. And I'll try and do this again next week, and we'll have a recap of the fights this weekend that will be going on. So thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure.